stand by for manual transmission in 3, 2, 1.
07 Commanders, Manus Dextra here, and I have some sad news. Kermit the Frag delivery system is dead. Long live the beef. And make no mistake, this big red unit is DTF. That's right, Commanders. Down to Frag. Check the description for a Coriolis link to this build, along with timestamps for the various sections of the video. You'll also find links to other useful info on specific engineers used, and ways to source high-grade engineering materials. While you're there, like, subscribe, and comment for more Elite Dangerous content. It really helps the channel, and it would mean a lot to my minion Beary as well. Isn't that so, Beary? Oh, right. Yeah, that's Beary number 1. He doesn't really care about anything anymore. See, I put Beary in charge of marketing and decided not to feed him until he got the channel monetized. I thought hunger would be good motivation. However, Beary number 1 proved to be more lazy than hungry. Luckily, I have thousands of little tadpole-like Beary clones in a pond behind the manual control bunker. Ah, here's Beary number 2. Fresh out of forced maturation in my Vite-O-Matic clone rapidly accelerated production system. On a side note, I really cannot recommend this system highly enough. If you need replacement minions on demand, this is the way to go. Hello, Beary 2. Explain to everyone why supporting the channel is so important.
Yes, Master. First, allow me to thank you so much for liberating me from my pointless, carefree existence frolicking with all the other clones in the pond. I am so fortunate to have been ripped from my former life and forced to undergo excruciatingly painful rapid maturation for the privilege to be at your service every minute of the day. Do you have more festering boils on your ass in need of lancing, sir?
No, Beary. Just stick to the script, please.
Yes, Master. To all the commanders out there, by supporting the channel, you will help Mr. Dextra produce even more and better Elite Dangerous content. In addition, Mr. Dextra has generously agreed to provide me with a single meal for every new subscriber to the channel. From what I understand, eating on a regular basis is quite enjoyable and essential for extending one's lifespan. I look forward to experiencing this for myself someday.
Yeah, okay, enough about you, Beary. So, before we break down the build, I want to briefly discuss the engineers involved and give a bit of advice on unlocking them. Then, I'll discuss how I gathered the necessary materials, and finally, I'll let Beary 2 go over the build itself. Check the description for timestamps. For engineers, let's start with Marco Quint. Of all the engineers associated with this build, he's probably the least useful and hardest to unlock. However, dealing with Quint is the only way to get access to Professor Palin and his sweet thruster upgrades, so we gotta do it. If you followed along with my easy engineered version of this build, linked in the description, you'll already have discovered Quint by upgrading your shield generator with Elvira Martuk. Unfortunately, you're still going to need to get an invitation from Sirius Corporation and provide Marco with 25 modular terminals just to start engineering. Sirius Corporation is the controlling faction in the Rubigo system. I used my Krait Mark II fitted with economy and business class passenger cabins to do passenger missions for the Sirius Corporation to Sirius Atmospherics in the Sothis system. These are basically just sightseeing missions and are as simple as flying from Rubigo Mines or Hauser's Reach in Rubigo to the Sirius Atmospherics tourist beacon in Sothis and back again. Doing this, I was able to become an ally of Sirius Corporation and earn several million credits in about an hour or so. If you fit a cargo rack in addition to passenger cabins, you can also use this as an opportunity to acquire modular terminals, since these can only be obtained as mission rewards. Once allied with Sirius Corporation, you'll be granted a permit to the Sirius system. Once you have the permit, you'll need to go to the Sirius system, dock at a station, I used Patterson Enterprise, and check the mission board for the mission to actually unlock Krait. For me, this was a simple data courier mission. Once you have Krait unlocked, you'll use him to upgrade your power plant to grade 4 armored. While this isn't a critical upgrade, this is the best mod Krait offers, and it will let us finally gain access to Professor Palin. If you followed my advice back in episode 2, you've already done your 5,000 light-year trip, made lots of money, and now you just need to gather 25 sensor fragments for the Professor. I collected mine from the crashed Thargoid ship in system HIP 17403, planet A4A. Luckily, sensor fragments don't take up cargo space, so you can just use any ship equipped with a detailed surface scanner. You'll need to map the planet to easily locate the crash site, and a planetary vehicle hangar so you can scoop up all those tasty sensor fragments in your SRV. Thankfully, the rest of the engineers used in this build are much simpler to unlock. I recommend referring to Inara's engineering section if you need specifics. Just remember that Selene Gene requires 10 units of Painite, and you'll need to mine this yourself, since Painite cannot be purchased. If you need help with this, check out my Krait Mark II Painite miner video linked in the description. To complete this build, you're going to need lots of high-grade engineering materials too. To farm data, I used Commander Jameson's crash site at HIP 12099, planet 1B. As with the Thargoid crash site, you'll need a ship with a detailed surface scanner and an SRV. At the crash site, you'll find 4 data points that can be scanned for grade 4 and 5 data. Once scanned, you'll need to log out to the main menu and back in to scan them again until you max out your data storage. Then, you can just go to the material trader to get whatever you need for your specific upgrades. Rinse and repeat as necessary. For raw materials, I used the crystalline shard sites found in HIP 36601 and 2 other star systems. Check the description for a link with exact locations. For manufactured materials, I used high-grade emissions. These are easily found in high population systems using your FSS. Again, check the link in the description for details on which systems yield what materials. Alright, Beary 2, break down the build for the commanders.
Yes, Master, I live to serve. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I hope it is as meaningful as tending to your hemorrhoids was this morning.
Damn it, Beary, stop talking about my butt.
Yes, Master. Sorry, Master. For this advanced engineering build we will use the following level 2 and 3 engineers. Marco Quent for armored power plants. Zachariah Nemo for overcharged frag cannons. Professor Palin for dirty drive tunings. Lee Cheung for thermal resistant shield generators. Selene Jean for lightweight armor and heavy duty and thermal resistant hull reinforcement. And Eva Terman for heavy duty and resistance augmented shield boosters. The defensive and core internal upgrades featured in this build are suitable for PvE and PvP combat. This is important since Mr. Dextra plays exclusively in open. And the overcharged frag cannons are quite capable of dealing lethal damage to low-level gankers. However, they are not suitable for PvP combat against skilled opponents. Commanders interested in PvP should consider replacing the large frag cannons with overcharged plasma accelerators. Target lock breaker and dispersal are suitable experimental effects. Starting with core components, the hull armor has been upgraded to reactive surface composites with grade 5 lightweight engineering and deep plating experimental effect. This, along with other hull reinforcement engineering mods, gives us the best resistances to all damage types. On the downside, reactive armor is heavy and extremely expensive. Budget-conscious commanders should consider keeping the stock lightweight armor and going for grade 5 heavy-duty armor with the deep plating experimental effect. This will yield a good boost to the hull for no additional costing mass or credits. The 6A power plant has been engineered to grade 4 armored. This is the best upgrade offered by Marco Quentin since we must achieve level 3 access to unlock Professor Palin anyway. This is what we'll take. To be fair, this is a pretty good upgrade for PvP oriented commanders since power plant sniping is a thing that happens in PvP combat. The 6A thrusters have been engineered to grade 5 dirty drive tunings with the help of Professor Palin. Commanders following my previous build guide will already have drag drives applied as an experimental effect. The 5A frame shift drive has been engineered to grade 5 increased range. This is completely optional but recommended for commanders who plan to use this ship for assassination missions that often require jumps to multiple systems. The 5D life support system remains stock. The 6A power distributor was already engineered to grade 5 charge enhanced with the cluster capacitor experimental effect since it comes from the Dweller, a level 1 engineer. The 4D sensors are not engineered. Moving on to optional internals, the 6C by Weave shield generator has been engineered to grade 5 thermal resistant with the low draw experimental effect. This gives us a fast regenerating shield that's tough against energy weapons and works well with a single pip from the power distributor. For hull reinforcement we have 1 class 5D and 3 class 4D HRPs engineered to grade 5 heavy duty with the deep plating experimental effect. To help balance our resistances we have 1 class 2D HRP engineered to grade 5 thermal resistance with deep plating experimental effect. We'll finish out optional internals with 1 class 4D and 1 class 2D module reinforcement package. These are essential to avoid blown out canopies in combat. And, we'll add a class 1 AFSD interdictor for good measure. Notice that there is no fuel scoop on this build. Because of this, most commanders will want to ship rather than fly their chieftains to new areas of operation. Moving on to hard points, we have 2 class 3C and 1 class 2D gym-baled frag cannons. All 3 have been engineered to level 5 overcharge with the screening shell experimental effect. Taken together these modifications greatly enhance damage output of our cannons. As mentioned previously, Mr. Dextra recommends that commanders interested in PvP combat should consider replacing the large gym-baled frag cannons with overcharged plasma accelerators. For experimental effects, use target lock breaker and or dispersal. The 3 class 1E gym-baled frag cannons and the small slots are also engineered to level 5 overcharged. For experimental effects, one has corrosive shells to increase hull damage, one has drag munitions to slow targets down, and one has dazzle shells to debuff targets' sensors. For utility mounts we have a single chaff launcher, and 3 class A shield boosters. 1 shield booster is engineered to grade 5 heavy duty and the other 2 are engineered for augmented resistance to grade 5. All 3 use the super capacitor effect for increased shield boosting capacity.
Thanks for the breakdown, Bear. So, everything I said about this build in my easy engineered video still applies here. If there's a drawback to this build at all, it would be limited ammo. I tested this build doing massacre missions, and I averaged between 12 and 15 kills in the combat zone before needing to reload. However, if you need to stay in combat for an extended period, basic ammo is cheap and easy to synthesize, and for those harder targets, premium ammo is more costly, but it gives a 30% buff to damage. This is why I like ammo-based kinetic weapons so much. I only shoot my enemies with the best. As for hull damage, it's a feature of this build, not a flaw. The Chieftain is designed to be a hybrid hull tank with very thick armor. Shields are there to slow the rate of hull damage, not prevent it. Even so, my shields rarely break due to weapons fire in a one-on-one fight, and I usually take more hull damage from collisions in close-range combat. If you can manage to stay close for just 10 to 15 seconds, you can kill nearly any ship. In combat, I have more trouble jousting with small fast ships like vultures, but I can make short work of big slow ships such as anacondas and even corvettes. The frag cannon Chieftain is definitely a giant killer. So, let's go blow some stuff up. The rest of this video is going to be combat highlights, As always, thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing. You know how this works.
Deploy chaff.
Deploying chaff. Phenomenon.
Deploy chaff.
Great flying, Commander.
Until next time, Commanders.
You will now be released from manual control. Mr. Dextra thanks you for your cooperation. You will now be released from manual control. Mr. Dextra thanks you for your cooperation.